You probably know the story of Faust, right? Well, there's a lesser-known version from what are called the Prussian Faust manuscripts that tells a far more modern and chilling story. It's a version where one character's tragedy becomes this powerful allegory for our industrial world.
So, on the one hand, you have Gretchen from the classic Faust. Her fall is deeply personal, right? It's a tragedy of seduction, of social shame. But then you have Sophia. And her destruction, it's not about love or sin, not in the way we usually think. It's about being exposed to a dangerous idea, something the text calls forbidden science.
And look, this isn't just some small tweak to the story. In this version, Sophia's downfall goes from being a romantic subplot to being the absolute central allegory of the entire play. Her story is basically a giant warning sign about what happens when modern technology crashes headfirst into the ancient world.
To really get her fall, you've got to understand what she stands for. The play calls her the flower of the field. She's not just a person, she's a symbol for humanity in its natural, organic state, totally pure and untouched by the kind of artificial knowledge that's about to turn her world upside down.
And right here, this is the twist that flips the whole narrative. She isn't brought down by a charming devil or by what the neighbors think. No, she's destroyed simply by being shown a truth she was never meant to see. In her story, knowledge itself is the poison.
So you can see where this is going, right? You've got this collision course set up. On one side, you have the flower, Sophia, representing nature itself. And on the other, the machine, the cold, hard logic of forbidden science. They were never meant to meet.
And the one who sets this all in motion, that's Henoch. He's our Faust figure here, but instead of wanting earthly pleasures, he's obsessed with uncovering the forbidden truths of the universe. You know, the mechanical secrets that make everything tick. And he's about to bring those secrets crashing right into Sophia's world.
So, what even is this forbidden science? It's not as vague as it sounds. The texts are actually pretty specific. They mention astronomy, metallurgy, and magic. But let's take a step back. What are those, really? They are the absolute building blocks of the Industrial Revolution, understanding the heavens, forging metal, and manipulating the world around us.
And this brings us to the core conflict of the whole play, which is summed up perfectly by a character called the Watcher Samyaza, the divine spark, that essential, living, breathing part of humanity. It just cannot coexist with the cold, mechanical gears of the universe. They're like oil and water.
And for Sophia, the result is absolutely catastrophic. This new knowledge is described as an alien light, and for someone who is the embodiment of the natural world, it's literally poison. Her mind, her spirit, they just can't handle it. It shows just how fragile nature can be when it's forced to stare into the cold eyes of the machine.
So who's to blame for all this? Well, the story points a pretty big finger directly at human arrogance. Sophia's fate is the tragic, unavoidable collateral damage of Henoch's relentless ambition.
And here's the tragic irony of it all. Henoch sees himself as a good guy, an ethical scientist. He genuinely believes he's lifting humanity up. But what's the actual result? His obsession ends up completely dehumanizing and destroying the very people he claims he wants to serve. It's a chilling metaphor for progress that loses its soul.
So, let's be absolutely clear. Her downfall is not a moral failing. It's not some simple sin of the flesh. But, and this is a direct quote from the text, it's a catastrophic consequence of the pursuit of forbidden wisdom. Her destruction is the price tag on Henoch's unchecked quest for knowledge. She is the living, or rather, dying proof of his failure.
So a deeply personal tragedy for sure. But the play wants us to see this as something way, way bigger. Sophia's personal story is actually a microcosm. It's a foreshadowing of this massive global takeover that unfolds later in the play. Her tragedy just sets the stage.
Which, of course, begs this really chilling question. When the natural world, when Sophia is destroyed, what rises from the ashes to take its place? What fills that void? The answer the play gives us is just stark and powerful. The aristocracy of iron. A new ruling class not built on bloodlines or land, but on metal and machines.
These figures are called the Nephilim. The text describes them as artificial giants, literally born from this forbidden knowledge. They're the next stage of this new world, a new order that's cold, artificial, and powerful, designed to replace the soft, organic world that Sophia was all about.
and the process is laid out with brutal clarity. First, the natural element, Sophia, is eliminated. This creates a power vacuum, and that vacuum is immediately filled by the artificial, the Nephilim. And before you know it, the entire world is remade in their image, a reflection of their iron heaven.
So at the end of the day, her destruction is so much more than one person's death. It actually signifies the end of the entire organic era and the beginning of what the text calls the atheistic tyranny of the machine. To put it plainly, Sophia is the sacrificial lamb of the Industrial Revolution in this story. Her tragedy is meant to prove the play's central point, that when you inject cold, forbidden science into the natural world, it doesn't lead to enlightenment, it leads to destruction.
And that leaves us with a pretty heavy question for our own time, doesn't it? This 19th century text is arguing that progress always has a price. There's always a sacrifice. It really makes you wonder, as we chase our own versions of forbidden wisdom, our own technological leaps, what flower of the field are we sacrificing today?